Hey everyone, welcome to the official Back2BSU Podcast for her, for him, for them, and for you. I'm your host, Hellena Maro, and this is our official launch. My vision for this podcast is to change the conversations from the mainstream to more productive and innovative topics that pour into our community. And what a way to do this than with our favorite people, the president and vice president of BSU.
Rio.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for our first episode. Can you please introduce yourselves with your names, your positions, and your classifications here at UNT?
Yeah, so I'm Meliyah. I'm the president for the Black Student Union, and I'm a senior.
Hi everyone, my name is Meliyah. I'm the vice president for the Black Student Union, and I'm also a senior.
Are there any other leadership positions that you are involved in here at UNT?
Yeah, so a lot actually. I'm the treasurer for my sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I'm also the secretary for Order of Omega. I also serve on the President's Student Advisory Committee currently, and I think that's it for right now.
Yes, I'm also the vice president of my sororities chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I'm actually also currently on the homecoming court.
Okay, period. Okay, so leadership in the Black community is not talked about enough. And here at UNT, we do have an influx of student organizations, and a lot of Black students are in influential roles. Can you please share your own personal experience as being Black leaders and how that has helped you grow socially and professionally?
So for me personally, just the different leadership roles that have really just helped me grow into the leader I am today has definitely been my experience just throughout BSU, throughout my entire college career. I was in Sydney Gray, Jeremiah and I both were, that's where we met. And then I later went on to serve on the Women's Empowerment Committee. Then I was in Women of Gold. I was the community service director for that organization, and then I later became the community service director for Black Student Union, and then I served as membership chairman for my chapter, and here I am as vice president. So.
Okay, period.
So some leadership that really, I guess, shaped my journey is being the vice president of finance for the First Gen Student Org. It not only showed me what it means to be a Black student as a First Gen, but also what it means that, especially pertaining to other minorities and what they go through and their experiences, and how important it is as a leader to just not shape your experiences by making your presence known, but to also help people and really reach out and have a helping hand.
That's really great. So a lot of people come to UNT and they really focus on the party scenes. They focus more about being outside and getting turned, but that's not really what our focus is supposed to be. What would you say to the people that come here, and what advice can you give them to shift that focus to more productive and growth, like bettering our community and just pouring in? Because it starts with us, really, and the conversations that are around like the Black stereotype is it's very hurtful for us. So how can we change that conversation, and what would you tell the new generation?
Yeah, I think it's very important to know that it's something bigger than yourself. Like, no matter what you believe in, what you stand for, it's about what you fall for. And morally, to believe there's something more important than yourself will help you so much further than being selfish with your intentions and like, oh, I want to be outside. Like, we all in college, but at the end of the day, it's not about the mark you leave on earth. It's about how you impact others when you're gone, how you impact your family, your friends. I'm first generation, so how I impact my little cousins that's going to go to college. Like, it's just important to think about the bigger picture, and I think once we as a community start to think about that, even outside of school, we'll be a lot further ahead.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Just like Jemiah, I'm also a first-gen student, so I'm impacting my family's lives, my little sister's lives, and like a lot of people who see me from back home, they have no idea. And like Jemiah said, we're not telling y'all to go outside or not be outside, because I feel like you can make a lot of different connections and network with people while you are outside. It's just more so about what you do with those connections and what you do with that network, because don't get me wrong, everybody loves a good time every now and then, but that shouldn't be your main focus. Your main focus should be leaving that legacy, creating that impact, and getting to know others, not just for what they can do for you, but what also you can do for your community and what you can do for yourself. Because we're just so much bigger than the party scene. We're so much bigger than party promoters or like bottle girls. Or, like, I'm so serious.
No, yeah.
Because, don't get me wrong, those things are great. They can bring a lot of joy and fun, but at the end of the day, 20 years from now, what are you going to look back on? How many parties you went to in college, or you're going to look back on that degree?
Right.
So.
And I would say, like, for me personally, like, I also went through the whole party phase, and I had my fun, and I'm pretty sure we all have. And then I kind of had to have that switch to kind of go back from, like, okay, this is not my main focus, there's an end goal. Do you guys would like to share any story that may be a similar experience?
I don't know if I have a specific story. More so of, like, I kind of just grew out of it. I realized that, don't get me wrong, it's fun to be outside and all. And I mean, like, when I was a first freshman, everything was so new to me. Like, I had never been able to go out and be on my own and, like, just in charge of myself before. So, of course, I was going out, meeting all these new people. But I just realized that, like, it's a blessing to be here in the first place, because I am first gen. My parents didn't get this opportunity. My grandparents didn't get this opportunity. So it's just like, who else is going to do it? I'm blessed with this opportunity. I'm here, and I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to show my family and be the first person to do it. So,
yeah, amen.
I agree. Like, I'm a PK, preacher's kid. My grandmother actually is a pastor, not my grandfather. My grandfather is a pastor. Either way, so when I came to freshman, similar experience. Like, I was outside. I increased like 50 pounds, just drinking, smoking, going crazy. And then, like, you just kind of realize, like, God didn't put you on earth to do that. and like, your parents, like, everything happens for a reason. So it's like, no matter what you believe in, like, you seriously, it's about, at the end of the day, what you fall for. And I would never fall for that type of lifestyle, especially when at the end of the day, the only thing that matters when you graduate is if you got a job or not. So, yeah.
And do you think your shift from the party scene to being more professional was more of like an internal thing, or was it the people around you? Was it your goals, your family? Or like, what was really the motivation to switch from like, okay, I want to be outside every single weekend, to actually I want to be more involved in organizations, I want to be in leadership positions?
Yeah, I think it's more of an internal shift. Like, to be able to impact the community how I wanted to impact the community long term, you have to be able to lead the community and inspire youth. Even with Black Student Experience, like, we're putting these kids or 18-year-olds into this space to inspire them and encourage them that you don't have to go to that random party you see. You don't have to get FOMO. Like, just stay inside and study.
Right.
So I think internally, in order to be like a really good leader, you really have to think about something bigger than yourself than just trying to have clout or be like, oh, I'm president, or I'm this, I'm that. But it's like, how is someone looking up to you, and are you changing their experience?
Yeah, I agree with that in the sense of, like, I think a good leader not only builds up themselves, but also builds other people to influence them to become the next leaders. And I do feel like that starts internally, especially when that switch that you're talking about happens. For me, it wasn't just internally, it also was the people I was around, and just the things I wanted to start getting involved in. I really just wanted to make that impact and wanted to get to know people and have people know me on campus. Like, I wanted to leave that. Not only for myself, but again, like I said, for my family, so that if my sister decides to come to UNT, she can be like, oh my gosh, wait, my sister on this radio. No, but it not only was just like that sense inside me, but then I just started seeing the people who I wanted to be like. The seniors I saw when I was a freshman on campus, I saw they were getting job offers, job opportunities, and some of them were ambassadors, getting invited to go to certain events just because they were doing stuff outside of school. And I realized that I could just be doing so much more. Yeah. So.
I'll also like touch upon like the social aspect of it all. So when you are like you know, when you were still a freshman and you were going outside and are making like these networks, there is obviously like a certain perspective that people do have on you when you're outside doing all these things. And that sometimes can be damaging for your reputation or your image or like how you prefer to be perceived. Do you think getting into like the more professional aspect and more leadership things, like being a part of sororities, being a part of like all these other, like BSU, for example, has that helped you socially, like in terms of like making better connections? Like you talked a lot about like having people to know you and like look up to you. How has that looked like for you?
Yeah, for me, I think that, like, for one, yes, I would say that I have grown my network through my sorority and things like that, but I will say that I started that process before I joined my sorority. It's just been a stepping stone in where I'm going. This is not the end for me. I'm gonna keep going.
Yep.
But I will say that because I was interested in my sorority, that did force me to branch out, to talk to more people, to talk to more professionals in my field and outside of my field, just because I needed to get that experience. I needed to learn and get to know people for myself and learn my organization for myself, and not only just my sorority, but I also wanted to be a part of NT40, Top 40 Leaders on Campus. I had to go and search for that, and sometimes opportunities aren't just always handed to you, or they don't always just fall in your lap. Sometimes you do have to apply the work and go chase them.
Yeah.
And so I think that applies to what you're saying. Just to be honest, growing your network isn't something that just happens in a day. It takes time, it takes dedication, and it does take hard work. So I will say that, like, you can make those connections in social activities like that, but ones that will last will probably be in the more professional space.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have nothing else.
And how important would you say having that network, like with students, not just like the staff or like professional LinkedIn and stuff like that, but like your friends who are like more involved? How important is that in terms of like bettering yourself professionally?
I think it's very important. I had a friend that had way more connections than me, even like in general, like I wasn't as resourceful. I guess last year when I was trying to figure out some things for myself, because I was founding a student org, and I needed help with that. And just
What's student org?
Student org is project management, student organization.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also president for that organization. And founding an org, especially on campus, it's not the hardest thing in the world. UNT encourages everyone to start an org, honestly. But just having the foundation and support is so important, and reaching out to people that are more resourceful than you, that work with student activities even. Like, I have a lot of friends now that work at student activities, and they do me so many favors as president of BSU. So it's like, it's very important to have people around you that pour into you. You can't get many places with a glass half full. Like, friends that can be outside, they should be the same friends that can also go into rooms and network. Like, it's not like it's clean black and white as it may seem. But if you don't have people around you that's helping you and encouraging you, then you're the sixth person that's just being there lazy. Like, y'all are all lazy together. So it's like somebody got to move around, and I think that's important when you're trying to keep your reputation and form your reputation on campus.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
One thing that has stuck with me that my grandmother and my mom told me before coming to college is the people that you keep around are a reflection of you. And I think that's very important, because if your friend is over here getting their dream scholarship, their dream internship, then that's a reflection of, oh, I'm around dedicated, hardworking people who go after and chase what they want. And I think Jemiah summed it up perfectly.
Yeah. You brought a really good point about like starting your own student organization and how UNT like encourages students to do that. So there is a lot of students that come to UNT and they cannot find like their community. They have a hard time. As much as we do have like about 200 organizations? 450, wow. So we have over 450 student organizations, but sometimes people do find it hard to like go into all these organizations because they still can't find what's for them. What kind of resources are available for people who do want to start their own organizations, and like what does that look like for somebody who was like, you know what, I want to start a knitting club, which is, there's probably a knitting club, but like, yeah, but like, how can they go about that so that since they can't find their community, they can create their own community?
Yeah, I think the best resource you can do is just go to untstudentactivities.com or org, sorry. They have a lot of resources. They literally walk you step by step on how to start a student organization. And with that, like the people that work, like the coordinators that work at student activities are very helpful, and they will literally walk it through you. I tell, like, we had 2 BSC mentees who both was like, I want to start an org just like you, and I was like, great.
Oh.
So all you need is a constitution, 10 members or 8 members, 3 officers. So you're good to go if you want to start an org as well. But I think it's also important to highlight the fact that if you feel like you can't find your community, I would go to the org space. They have people that are there to help you figure out involvement and what that looks like for you. As a freshman, sophomore, no matter your classification, I recommend joining a cultural org, a professional org, so an org pertaining to your major. And yeah, those joining 2 orgs at least will definitely help you out in finding yourself too at UNT.
Okay, so let's shift the topic a little bit. So at the beginning of the semester, we hosted Back2BSU, which is the biggest student organization event of the year, and we were going viral. We were going viral, and people were calling us an HBCU with hashtags like HBCUUNT. And even though we are a very diverse school, we are still a PWI. So do you think what social media perceives of UNT, like being this diverse HBCU fun like school, and what the reality really is? What can you say a little bit about that?
For me personally, not that I don't love it. I love HBCU culture, but again, we're not at HBCU. Although I do feel like we have a very strong presence on this campus. That presence does stop at the student body. Although we do have some great staff members who do look like us, there's not enough. There's not enough representation, especially in the classrooms. And that's like the main biggest difference, I feel. And then also just when it comes to advocating for students that look like us, we don't have enough people in spaces to do that for us. And you can feel it, you can see it, and you can feel the difference, for sure.
For sure. I mean, like, even social media versus like reality in terms of like advocacy. I remember the other day we literally walked up to conservative MAGA people and had a very intimate conversation with them, not heated or anything, but just genuinely trying to understand their perspective, because we all have free speech and everything. But just in terms of like stuff like that, like everybody reposts a flyer of them showing support, but it's about what are you doing in actual reality to support these people that are going through things. I think at UNT sometimes we are very much like, oh, I'm gonna repost this and I'm good, like, but it's like, what are you doing outside of that? What are you doing to actually uplift the Black community? What are you doing to actually have programming that helps us? Because speaking of party culture, like, that's all we see when it's pertaining to the Black community. And I think BSU, like, in general, it's important for us to kind of hold that ground of like, we're gonna have advocacy, like, we're gonna actually try to have events that influence our community in a different way, especially with how many things are happening in the world right now and how we keep getting challenged as a community, no matter what our background is.
Yeah. Like on social media especially, UNT has a lot of people. Like, we have a lot of influencers, YouTubers, like fashion people and stuff like that. And it's very viral, I would say. Do you think that's something that is really just on social media, or like on your day-to-day? Do you see that around? Do you see like these Black influencers and fashion people? Like, do you see that representation? And do you think it is an influence that's in reality, or do you think it's an influence like a facade just on social media?
I personally feel like there's a mix. I'm not saying anybody's fake or anything like that, because obviously I'm not living that person's life. I'm not in their shoes. So I feel like there definitely is some people who actually really do take their content creation very seriously and have a future in that, and I can see that for them, and I think that's wonderful, and I think that's great. Do I also see the other side of it where I feel like people be fronting on social media for sure, but that's anybody, that's at any university, not even just to say like the people here at UNT, that could be anywhere. That's just our life, that's reality for us, because honestly, social media is a place for people to pretend they have these perfect lives, when in actuality, that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
And I do feel like just as a society that we are entirely way too focused on what people perceive on social media. I think we really need to like put down the phones and like actually get involved and see what's happening in our communities and like before our own eyes. And like Jemiah is saying, you can repost all you want to, but are you actually at that march? Are you actually registered to vote? What are you doing? Are you showing up to the courthouse to advocate for your community, your rights in your own community? What are you doing to make that change, to make that difference? A repost is a repost. Anybody can do that with one click. What's going to be the next step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking about like the influencers that we do have on social media and what is perceived in reality, I just want to talk a little bit about the issues in our Black community and in development. So we do have a lot of public figures. We do have a lot of public figures right now who do fit into the stereotypes. And I don't know, don't come for me, but we can have, let's say, Sexy Red. She makes great music, okay? You can turn up and you have fun, but how would you go about the conversation on how they damage our image as Black people rather than like fit into the whole like productivity and growth? Because then everywhere we go, there's a stereotype. It doesn't matter what type of Black you are still Black, and everybody's going to see you that way. And like our public figures, the people who represent us very loudly and very virally, are damaging that. So what can you say about that?
I think it's important that we just remember that they are that's what they get paid to do. They're entertainers. At the end of the day, I think at what age do we hold ourselves accountable? And it's like we don't have to act like Sexy Red. Like we don't have to act like they act. Like we just don't have to do that. So it's like for you to give into that stereotype, and that stereotype is like your perception of what you think the rapper is being reflected in our everyday life. Like it's one thing to see it on TV, but to actually go outside and see that is kind of crazy. And I think it's important that everybody has fun, definitely. But I think at what point are we hurting ourselves? And it's like you're crossing that boundary between having fun and just perceiving yourself as something that you're not. Because most of the time in general, like all these other people, obviously they got something to say about Black people regardless.
Yeah.
But I think at what point are you taking the time to educate yourself and figure out how you also influence that? I'm not saying there's any reason anybody should be calling us stereotypes or calling us names, ghetto. I hate that word so much. But it's like we also as a community do harm to ourselves. Even like seeing that stuff that happened at that school where that girl got shot, like sometimes we literally hurt ourselves. And that is so much more damaging to us sometimes than even white people hating on us or calling us whatever. It'd be us for sure.
Yeah.
She perfectly summed that up.
Do you think we've had like stronger role models in the past than we do now? And is there any that you would like to highlight?
100%. We definitely have had stronger role models than we do now. Like socially, the aspect between how activism has been highlighted before the 2000s really until now and what's highlighted now, like the activists that we're getting now is like Cardi B reposting someone on Twitter versus back then it was people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all these people that actually helped us. But I think that's just like what's the social norms now. It's normal for us to just be partying and twerking and all that, but it's not as glorified now it is to be activists and to actually stand up for community. Like you kind of look at them crazy like, all right girl, that's enough reposts, that's enough about Palestine, but it's never enough. So I think just socially we've changed so much as a community that now people are odd, the people that actually try to make a change. And they look that a little funny, but it's like, at what point are we going to kind of balance it out? And I think that's important that BSU is trying to do. Like, we're trying to do our part and try to balance it out. And I think as a community, like, we all cared a little bit more about the issues that actually will affect us. They don't affect us yet, or you may not feel like they affect you because it's immigrants or it's this and that. Like, one day it's going to bite us. It coming for the black people. I already know. Conspiracy, whatever, but they coming for us. I already know.
In Chicago, they literally
in Chicago.
It's actually so real, and I think that's the scariest thing that's the most, like, obvious in our face, but a lot of our, like, people in our community are oblivious to it. And I think you brought up a great point of, like, Cardi B reposting, stuff like that. We have people who do use their platforms, but I think a lot of people think that because they don't have a platform, they don't have a voice. And that's not true. You create your own platform. You create your own voice. And people will start listening to you. If you are so passionate about something, people will recognize that passion and automatically want to engage in what you're talking about. So it really just starts within yourself.
Actually, a very good point. A lot of, like, Black students, I would say the younger Black generation, there has been, especially during the voting time, we're saying, like, my vote doesn't matter, and especially with the results being what they are, it was kind of like the affirmation that their vote doesn't matter. Is there anything you would want to say to people to kind of, like, get them to know that actually your voice does matter, even if the result does not, like, match that, it still kind of went into it?
Yeah, I do. For one, we're always going to be the minority. Like, that's just straight off the bat, which sucks, but that's just the cards that we are dealt. And you also have to think about, like, in history, our ancestors, our great-grandfathers, great-grandmothers, they fought to have these rights that we do now. And we're taking it for granted by sitting back and not, obviously, we know that sometimes things don't work out the way we want them to work out. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that happens a lot, especially just with the color of our skin. That happens all the time. We're looked at and we get these assumptions. But if we just give up what we did fight so hard to get, then they're going to take it away. They're already trying to take it away from us. I mean, specifically women.
Yeah.
We don't have
a lot.
We don't have rights anymore, like, over our own reproductive system. So it's just like, I get what you're saying, and it does sometimes feel like we're being silenced, and it does feel like there is not a point, but I promise you there is a point. And think about it, the future generations who are also watching these things on social media, seeing you say these things that, oh, your vote doesn't matter, your vote doesn't count, then when it's their turn, they're going to assume the exact same thing, which is not true. Right. So I feel like it's better to go down with a fight than without one.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody just needs to pick up the books again and just really reel in the fact that we literally are descendants of slaves. We are descendants of people that fought for us. So the least we could do is check off a couple boxes. You know, like, I just feel like once we just really reel that in, it makes it a lot easier to be like, okay, let me go get this registration card, because it matters.
And, like, with the influences, like, let's say mentioning Cardi B, like, reposting something about Palestine or about voting and kind of, like, bringing in that awareness, do you think that we have regressed as a community in the type of influence that we celebrate? Because we can see, like, Cardi B, you know, celebrating that she reposted something, or whoever, any other celebrity. But when it comes to, like, social media, like, drama over sexualization and violence and music and stuff like that, do you think the people that our generation is looking up to is hurting us more than it's helping us?
Yeah, unfortunately. I wouldn't say necessarily regressed, but I will say that the focus is shifted. And I believe that it's shifted to a negative space. I think that if we applied this same amount of interest and the amount of time that we spend on these topics of these people to the same amount of time we need to be studying the law, learning our stuff, and in the book, like it says, we could change the world. Like, it could be totally different. I do believe that there isn't a problem with entertaining the things that you like and that is entertaining, but to what point do we let that instead of entertain us, now run us. I think that you have your own mind and body, and that you're capable of doing so much, and whatever you put your time and energy and effort to, that's what eventually becomes you.
Right.
So what is going to become you? Is all your reposts about this crazy fight or Cardi beefing with Nicki, like, is that going to be your life? Is that what's going to be that represents you? Or is it going to be what you make it? Is it going to be your grades? Is it going to be your degree? Is it going to be God? Like, what is that going to be for you?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Well, that is all we have for y'all today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Is there any last minute things you would like to share with the people that will be watching this episode, and just kind of like talk about what this vision can do for the community and how this can reshape the kind of conversations we have and the perspective that our freshmen and transfers and just the Black community in general can kind of focus on?
Yeah, I would say we're for you, for her, for them, for him. So I think like it's important to show up when it matters, and it matters now more than ever. So I don't know how we kind of made this a political conversation, but it's important to show up for your fellow Black community. And we're all going through a lot of troubling times right now. So to just piggyback off everything we said today, just keep showing up. And even if that's a repost, that's okay. But it's also important to, hey, BSU, when we go march, when we have another activist event, like, cause it's like if only 20 people are showing up to the actual activist events and those type of political events, it's kind of hard for us to keep pushing the culture in that way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that everything we said here today is very valuable. But I kind of want to touch back on something that Jemiah brought up during our conversation today, is find that community in some shape or form, even if it's not with BSU. We would love to have you, though. We would love to have you. But go find it. Go create it. It's really important in this time to band together, be together, just because we don't know what tomorrow has, and we don't know what we're promised. So I think that it's important to find the people who support your voice and want it to be heard, and to just stay true to what you believe in and what you value.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first ever episode for Back2BSU. I'm your host, Hellena Maro, and I hope today's episode really inspires you to do something different, to find your community, and to be a voice within our community. We do have an episode gonna come up in the next 2 weeks, and we're gonna have two of our favorite DJs here at UNT talk about their experience with the party community, the entertainment community, and how they balance that with school and professionalism. Thank you guys again, and please tune in for our next episode.
Rio.